I hope you enjoy the story. Put on your headphones, close your eyes, and listen. In a faraway land, there lived an old king and his 7 princesses. The girls were so jealous that the king bought each one the same dress to avoid trouble. But the princesses kept complaining about this situation. They were so tired of wearing the same dress. One day, while the youngest princess was wandering around the palace in a bad mood, she heard a noise. This noise came from behind a strange door in the palace. When she went and opened the door with curiosity, she was very surprised by what she saw. In front of her was a pair of red shoes. They were moving on their own. The shoes came dancing and stopped right in front of the princess. Curiously, the princess put on the shoes and started running. Quickly, oh my, how fast! The princess set off on a long journey down a bumpy road wearing the magic shoes. Finally, the magic shoes stopped in a distant place. She asked the seamstress if it was possible to wear one of these dresses to the ball. Of course, but remember that this dress punishes selfish people. The princess took the dress and returned to the palace just as quickly, ignoring the seamstress's words and secretly putting her shoes under the bed. While everyone was sleeping, she didn't want to share her clothes with her sisters. She wanted to have them for herself. Only the next evening, all the sisters gathered to dance in the hall. While the 6 princesses were wearing the same old clothes, the 7th princess entered the hall wearing a completely different and new dress. Out of curiosity, the older sisters asked the little princess where she got this dress, but she said nothing and began to dance before her sad sister's eyes, enjoying her new dress. The days passed, and the little princess arrived at the ball. Wearing a different, new dress every evening, she wasn't at all interested in her sisters, who couldn't attend the party because they had to mend their old clothes. At the party, the shiny buttons on the little princess's dress caught her middle sister's attention. She knew that these shiny buttons could only be found at a famous seamstress far away. But this was impossible for the little princess. The princess had to go all the way back to reach that famous seamstress. One day, to solve this problem, the sisters decided that one of them would watch the little princess wherever she went. One of her older sisters followed her, never leaving her alone. Finally, one night, the little princess saw her older sister sleeping while she was watching. She seized the opportunity and immediately put on her magic shoes and bought a new dress from the seamstress. I have so many dresses now. My sisters will be jealous. The next day, the older sister noticed a large tear in her old dress. She went and asked the little princess for help. "I can't dance at the ball in this dress. Can I borrow a new one of yours?" "No, I can't. They're mine and made for me." The little princess went to the dance alone, not caring about anyone. While she was dancing and showing off her new outfit to the guests, one of her older sisters heard a sound under the little princess's bed. When she bent down, she saw the magic red shoe moving on its own. The moment the middle princess put the shoe on, she started running quickly. "Oh, what's happening?" The middle princess ran out of her palace in the blink of an eye. Where did she go? Or was she just here? She crossed mountains and hills so quickly. When she finally reached the tailor's shop, the shoe stopped by itself. She couldn't believe what she saw when she entered and stood in front of dozens of luxurious dresses and the magic shoe. "Can I get a dress too?" "Of course," she said. "But remember, this dress is punishable." The selfish princess listened to the tailor's words. "I promise you I will never be jealous or selfish." Then she put on the new dress and returned to the palace with the same speed. On the other hand, the little princess was dancing alone in the hall. Her dress suddenly turned into an ugly dress. What happened to her beautiful dress? This is embarrassing. While the guests watched, the little princess returned to her room crying. She searched everywhere for her magic shoe to buy new clothes, but she couldn't find it. She couldn't find it anywhere. "Oh, where are my magic red shoes? Who took them? Tell me!" Just then, her middle sister appeared before her with the magic shoe in her hands. She was also wearing a new dress. "Were you looking for it?" "Yes, yes." And so the little princess realized that her secret had been exposed and felt so ashamed that she hadn't paid attention to the seamstress's words. Her older sisters told her that sharing was the most important thing in the world. So she apologized. The little princess shared her magic red shoe with one of her older sisters. Every day, the magic shoe took turns transporting the princesses to and from the seamstress's shop. With amazing speed, all the princesses' sisters were able to buy new clothes and dance happily in the hall all night long. If you like the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Once upon a time, there lived a king with his 12 beautiful daughters. All of them were princesses, all of whom lived in one large, beautiful room. The king protected his daughters with all his heart. When the princesses went to bed at night, he didn't allow them to go out. But every morning, the princesses woke up to something very strange. All of the princesses' shoes were worn out, as if they had been dancing all night. The king bought new jewelry for his daughters every day, but in the days that followed, the shoes wore out. As usual, neither the king nor his men in the castle could solve the riddle of these shoes. How could this happen? How could a pair of shoes be ruined like this in one night? "We don't know, Your Majesty." "My brother," the king said, "whoever among you can solve the riddle of the shoes, I will allow him to marry whoever he chooses from my daughters. He will be my son-in-law, and he will be the king after me, on the condition that he solve the riddle within 3 days and nights. Otherwise, he would spend the rest of his life in prison." Many young men and princes from other kingdoms came to the castle for the task. For days, they all guarded the room of the 12 princesses. But as time passed, none of them could solve the riddle, and their shoes kept wearing out. Finally, one of the young men wanted to try his luck and set out for the castle. On his way, he met a tall, thin, and poor-looking old woman. "My dear boy, I am very hungry. Could you please give me a piece of bread?" The young man gave all the food he had in his bag to the old woman. She was very happy, as none of the men who had passed by before him had given her anything. The old woman knew that this man was different from the others, so in return she gave him an enchanted cloak. Take this enchanted cloak when wear it, and you will become invisible when it is night. Put it on, and then enter the princess's room in disguise. This way, you can solve the riddle of the shoes. But be careful not to drink what the princess gives you. What an evil princess! The little man took the enchanted cloak and headed to the castle. When he arrived, he said he had come to solve the riddle of the shoes. On the first day, while he was guarding the princess's room, the eldest princess came out with a cup of lemonade. "You must be thirsty. We have prepared some lemonade for you." The little man forgot the old gentleman's warning and drank some of it. After a while, he felt very sleepy. The man went to sleep all night in the room we had prepared for him. When morning came, the little man got up. Terrified, I was supposed to put on the enchanted cloak and enter the princess's room. The second night, the little man once again guarded the princess's room. This time, another princess came out with a glass of juice in her hand. The little man was feeling extremely thirsty as he stood guard all night without thinking. He drank the juice he was given completely and, of course, fell into a deep sleep again. The next morning, upon waking, he remembered the old man's words, "But be careful not to drink what the princess gives you. The juice must contain sleeping pills." At that moment, the king came to his side. "2 days have passed, and you still haven't been able to solve the riddle of the shoes. If you can't solve it today, you will end up in prison and spend the rest of your life there." The king finished speaking and left. The little man was obliged to solve the riddle today. That night, the little man, on guard outside the princess's room, this time the little princess came out. Carrying orange juice in her hand, the little man was alert this time. So he took the glass. He thanked the princess, and when the princess left, he poured the orange juice into the bowl next to him. This time, he remained conscious. Night fell, and soon it was midnight. The little man put on his cloak, and at that moment, he became invisible. He opened the door of the room, slowly. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. All the princesses were wearing their most beautiful party dresses, had arranged their hair and makeup, and were wearing their latest shoes. Let's see if the little man outside the door had fallen asleep. One of the princesses opened the door and looked outside. Another princess stuck her ear to the wall. At that moment, the little man knew he had to make some sounds. Snoring after we confirmed that the little man. On guard outside the princess's room. This time, the little princess came out. Carrying orange juice in her hand, the little man was alert this time, so he took the glass. He thanked the princess, and when she left, he poured the orange juice into the bowl next to him. This time, he remained conscious. Night fell, and soon it was midnight. The little man put on his cloak, and at that moment, he became invisible. He opened the door of the room slowly. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. All the princesses were wearing their finest party dresses, had arranged their hair and makeup, and were wearing their latest shoes. Let's see if the little man outside the door had fallen asleep. One of the princesses opened the door and looked outside. Another princess pressed her ear against the wall. At that moment, the little man knew he had to make some sounds. Asleep. The eldest princess, a secret passage opened in the same place as the bed. The little man couldn't believe his eyes. One by one, the princesses began to enter, and of course, the little man followed them. The secret passage led to a staircase made up of hundreds of steps. As everyone was going down the stairs, the little man accidentally stepped on one of the princess's skirts. "Prince, oh, someone stepped on my skirt. This is unbelievable. That must be you." When the steps on the stairs ended, everyone reached a south inside a forest. They passed tall trees with beautiful silver branches. The little man took a branch and continued following the princesses. After a long walk, they all stopped at the edge of a river. There were 12 boats in the shape of swans. On board were 12 princes waiting for the princesses. Then the princesses boarded the boat. The last boat today seemed heavier than usual, as if there was someone else on board. That's really strange. Stop dreaming. When everyone crossed the river, they passed a large, shiny castle and could hear music coming from inside. When he looked through the glass, the little man could see many people dancers. As soon as they entered the castle, the princesses began to dance. They didn't get tired. They kept dancing. Of course, their shoes were starting to wear out. The little man couldn't bear the hunger any longer, so he took a piece of cake off the table and started eating it. The little princess saw it. "Here's my cake! My cake!" It floated in the air as if someone in disguise was eating it. "Really, stop this nonsense." The little man took a golden cup from the table without anyone noticing. The princesses danced until morning, then boarded the boats and crossed the river. They walked through the forest and then climbed a very long staircase. Finally, the princesses arrived at the castle, but his shoes were worn out again. The little man was very happy that he had finally solved the riddle of the shoes. After a while, the king came to the little man. "Your deadline is up for today. Have you solved the riddle of the shoes?" "Yes, Your Majesty, you have." He told him everything. The king didn't believe him at first, but when the little man showed him the silver branch he had brought from the forest and the golden cup from the shining castle, the king was certain that he was telling the truth. So he kept his promise and gave him the right to marry the princess. The princesses danced until morning, then boarded boats, crossed the river, then went through the forest and up a very long flight of stairs. Finally, the princesses arrived at the castle, but his shoes were worn out again. The little man was very happy that he had finally solved the riddle of the shoes. he chose them. The little man said he wanted to marry the little princess. The two princesses were not happy because their secret was now out. But the little man and the little princess married each other and lived happily ever after. If you like the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.